feelings of, the fondness that you had here and wanted to, come back and stay here?
Well, the toughest part of it was obviously when I called the players, and I should have realized right then and there that I made a mistake, because I started with Cassie Riley Boscia, who's going to be a senior next year and one of the greatest kids I've ever coached. And I could barely get through her call, and the first thing she says to me is, "Murph, are you doing okay?" And that just, it stuck with me the whole weekend. And I kept thinking about the seniors, what a great class we had, and then I kept thinking about the kids coming in. And the biggest thing that hit me was I'm not going to be able to get to coach them. And we knew them, we recruited them, we knew their families, and that hit me hard.
Coach, why did you decide to leave in the first place? Was something not right in Tuscaloosa or with this program for you to decide to leave?
Well, it was you get back from the World Series, you spend 10 months building a team. You put all your emotions and everything into it from August 20th through June, whatever it was, 6th. You end on a disappointing day. You get beat twice. It's an emotional letdown. And then the next day you fly home and it's like everything hits you all at once. And then the phone call came, and it was from LSU, and their AD said, "This is the one call only I want to make." And now you go from the dumps to the sky high. And I mean, he was an incredible person to talk to, and threw everything at me, and it was a too quick decision, and I got caught up in it, and it snowballed, and I didn't think it through, and I made a mistake, and I didn't realize it until halfway through the weekend.
You left 2 programs in a week. How much trust should players have in you right now?
Well, that's, and I apologize to both LSU and Alabama fans, players, administrators, everybody, because that's the last thing I wanted to do, because I hurt two schools, not just one, and just a bad move on my part, and I'm going to have to rebuild it, rebuild some trust with some people, definitely start with our players, and hope that they can forgive and realize it was more of a business decision than anything else.
How good does it feel to be back here in Tuscaloosa?
Well, to tell you the truth, I couldn't speak to anybody, and but I kept getting text messages and emails, and after every one I got, my heart just got, it just it just hit you. And I got one of the coolest emails from a lady that works at the Alabama Credit Union, and she actually had written a prayer for me. And who writes a prayer for a softball coach? So my first trip this morning was to go see her. And just tell her how much that meant to me. And, she said, "I apologize." And she said, "No, don't worry about it. We're just glad you're back. And don't worry about it."
When you stepped up to the podium at LSU and you said, "I can't believe I'm here," were you still, were you conflicted still? Because that didn't really sound like, you're positive you wanted to be there.
Well, it was a whirlwind, basically 48 hours. And that was more about that than anything. It was just, it was surreal. And, my mentor was right in front of me. And I love her to death, and I felt like this was a chance for me to pay her back, and for everything that she did to me. She gave me my start in softball, and it was surreal at the time.
How did she take the news?
I called her. That's the first person I called, and I said, "Gerard, are you going to be mad at me? Are you going to be disappointed?" And she's just a great lady, and she said, "No way." She said, "You got to do." She tried to talk me out of it, and you know, tried to pump me up again. And she said, "But you got to do what's right for you, and you know, if this doesn't feel good, you know, I don't want you to try to go through it for 5 years." And you know, 5 years is a long time, and I thought I could do it, and you know, I kept telling myself it'll get better. And she was the first one I talked to, though.
Coach, how do you want fans and I guess people in general who have seen the situation over the last couple of days, how do you want them to think of you as far as a coach, decision maker, and that sort of thing?
Well, you know, I screwed up. I made a mistake, and you know, that's the bottom line. And I apologize to everybody if I offended anybody or hurt somebody. And it's I got to move on. I got to live with it. And you know, I had a buddy say, you know, it's this too shall pass, and take it one day at a time.
Can you talk about, I guess, asking Coach Moore if you could come back to the program?
Well, Sunday morning, I said, I don't think I can do it. And he says, what do we need to do? What do we need to do to make this happen? And that's kind of where it started. And I appreciate that opportunity, because you didn't know. You know, they might have hired somebody. I didn't know.
Why do you think he accepted you back into the family, so to speak?
Well, I've given him 15 years of hard work and dedication, and I gave everything in my life to the program, and I hope that counted for something.
Usually the track record of coaches who leave to take another job and for whatever reason they wind up going back to where they came from is not that good. What do you think the level of success is going to be for the Alabama softball program now?
Nothing but the best.
Do you feel like, you know, with you going to LSU and then coming back, you might hurt your recruiting?
Well, you know, I heard from a bunch of them, and you know, they were on that roller coaster ride too, and I think all of them are really happy that I'm back, because they have made relationships already with kids on the team, and you know, all of them are like, I'm so glad I get to play with my Alabama family, because that's what I wanted from the very beginning.
Two more questions, guys. Hey, Coach, can you just talk about what was the reaction of the girls when you called them and told them that you were coming back? I know they had to be excited.
Yeah, I mean, I started again with Cassie, and she said, you know, I said, Cassie, are you sitting down again? And she said, yeah. And I said, well, I got one more little thing to tell you. And she said, is it for real? And I said, yeah. And she started crying again, and she said, I can't stop smiling, Murph. I can't stop smiling. And that's basically been Jordan Patterson came over and screaming and yelling and crying, and you know, she said, I got my family back, and that was worth it.
Last one, guys.
How much do you think, now that LSU has to come here, do you think this maybe really amped up maybe the rivalry from the LSU maybe side?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, it's a good rivalry to begin with. I mean, it was the two best programs in the West from the very beginning. So it'll be fun to play them again.